The hair had a clear Irish accent, which I'm not gonna do, as he tugged off his gloves and rubbed his hands, blowing into them for warmth. The barista moved off to make them their drinks. Well, I take it you two are here for the Sylvia? The blue-jacketed girl smiled, leaning forward and hugging herself to warm up. Immediately, the beanie-wearing girl pulls out her phone and focuses on it, ignoring the rest of us. Yeah, we're here for the Sylvia. I'm Garrett Reed. I'm Stefan Golubev. Pleased to meet you. The hair guy sat next to me, drawing close and rubbing his arms for warmth. I'm Aaron Marsh. Pleased to meet you. He gave a grin and a small wave before going back to blowing into his hands. Nice to meet you, fellas. I'm Gail Waters, and this chatty social butterfly is my sister, Tabby. Want to introduce yourself? She nudged her sister, who just scowled and muttered, without looking up from her phone. Hi. Me and Stefan exchanged a look, but Gail just laughed. She takes time to warm up to people. No shit, I thought. Judging by the way she was thumbing the screen, she was scrolling something continuously. Probably some social media shite like Barker. God, I hate to be such an old fart sometimes. Hope this Sylvia has decent heating. Forgot to bring ear warmers. Aaron complained, taking his ears in his hands and rubbing them. What did you expect this far north? Don't you have a hood? Gail chuckles and smirks, though she did rub her own ears a little. Yeah. He pouted. Lapines were really finicky about anything touching or covering their ears. I guess it made sense for people with such sensitive hearing. Wolves like me had sensitive hearing. Nowhere near as good as the Lapines. How do you even... Lapines? What?
Lapine.
Wolves like me had sensitive hearing. Nowhere near as good as... What is Lapines? 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 What is Lapines? Why? Bruh. And even we didn't really like stuff covering our ears where we could help it. That said, leaving ears uncovered out here was a great way to get frostnip. Do you guys know each other? He motioned between Gail and Aaron. Oh no, we met about an hour ago. Decided to stick together since we're all going together anyway. So, what do you guys do? Gail directed me and Stefan. I decided to get my introduction in first before Stefan started talking about the Illuminati. Oh, I'm a Sparky. Nothing interesting. When I got a bunch of blank looks and raised eyebrows, I added, Electrician. Oh, right. Is that what you call it where you're from? Just a nickname we use. I'm so used to calling it that I forgot how it must sound. I gave a small laugh, cringing inwards at the 4 sets of eyes now set on me. Without realizing, I tugged at my fringe, ensuring it covered my eye. That sounds cool. Are you like the guy people call to fix their fuse box? Sometimes, but I mostly work on industrial sites. What happened to your eye? I froze. Tabby had stopped fiddling with her phone for a moment to gaze me directly in the eye, a look of morbid curiosity on her face. Tabby, you don't just demand people explain stuff like that. I felt my stomach clench, instinctively tugging at my fringe. Had she seen through? Or correctly assumed my fringe was hiding my left eye? Judging from Aaron and Stefan's reaction, they'd clearly been thinking the same thing. They just evidently had more tact. Why not? I'm just curious. As much as Gail tried, I could see that the others were all now staring at me with even more rapt attention. Gail offered a chagrined look. So, learning some new words with this one. You don't have to explain anything. No, it's fine. It's not like there's much to say. Oh my goodness gracious. What the hell was that? Well, all right then. Had an accident. And then they're just flashing that with this music playing in the back like, okay, bruh. Gail smiled apologetically and gave her sister a there, satisfied sort of look, although from Tabby's expression, she was evidently not satisfied. She mercifully did not press the issue and went back to her phone. So, how about you, Gail? What do you do? I seized the opportunity to move the focus away from me. Oh, me? I'm not that interesting, to be honest. Just finished my first full year as a registered nurse. Seriously? Bet that's been a stressful time. Oh, it was. But finally getting out of university and being able to work with patients is just so satisfying. Long hours, but I feel like I'm making a difference, you know? What about you, Stefan? Me? He looked more than a little uncomfortable. I, work retail. Nothing wrong with that. Where do you work? I took a sip of my coffee. While the warmth and scent was inviting, I could never really get on with the taste. I only typically drink if I needed to wake up. I was glad the conversation had turned away from me. I tuned out the conversation a little, glancing from one person to the other. They seemed nice enough. Even Tabby had stopped fiddling with her phone to observe, though she didn't say anything. With another sip, I tuned back into the conversation. What about you, Aaron? The hair was about to speak when the barista arrived with a tray carrying their drinks. Oh, thank you kindly. He beamed at the barista, flashing his pearly white teeth. No sooner had his cup been placed before him that he took it up and sipped, eyes closed with a satisfied That hit the spot. Oh, I'm a student studying psychology. God damn, man, I can't read today. He looked a little bashful as he added. And I deliver pizzas in the evenings to make some scratch. Neat. Do you get to eat a lot of pizzas then? Oh, yo, this guy is like a little kid. The words deliver pizzas made Stefan's eyes light up. Well, sometimes we get pizzas that are canceled or the wrong order, but as much as I like pizza, even I have my limits. Besides, need to watch my figure. He gave me a sharp elbow to the ribs and a wink. I nearly choked on my coffee. What about you, Tabby? You in college? Stefan asked between gulps of his coffee. Yep. She said in a sullen voice, not even looking up. After a few seconds of not elaborating, Stefan, Aaron, and myself all exchanged glances while Gail simply gave an embarrassed smile. You could at least try to be friendly. We're going to be traveling together for a while. Tabby, meanwhile, was utterly unmoved by the conversation, slumped down in her chair with her coffee untouched. I'm not here to make friends. I don't even want to be here. You're the one obsessed with finding Mom. Just like that, it was as if the freezing air of the outside blew over us. Even Stefan's bouncy energy vanished. Even if I thought she was being a brat, she did remind us why we were going to this expedition. It wasn't a pleasure cruise. We were going to find Aaron and her crew, or what was left of them. The sound of the door opening again shook us all from our private musings. Loud clomping heavy hooves on wood echoed through the room as a figure swept through the door. Holy moly! Stefan muttered under his breath, eyes wide with alarm. God. Damn. Aaron agreed, though his expression was decidedly more pleased. The equine who entered was huge, easily pushing 6.5 feet tall. His snappy-looking gear did little to conceal a powerful build. He held himself ramrod straight, moving with casual graze towards us, with each hoof step vibrating through my legs. "Good evening. Are you the group waiting to board the Sylvia?" His voice was rich and deep as he gazed at us with eyes that felt like they could see right through us. His accent was odd. It was received pronunciation, very cut glass, yet there was an aspect to it I couldn't place. He sounded posh, that much I could tell. "Oh, hello. You must be Sheriff?" "Indeed. Sheriff Abdi. Pleased to meet you all. I shall be in charge of the expedition." "Would you, care for..." Aaron stammered like he'd just been approached by his school crush. "Coffee?" "I am afraid not. I have come to collect you all. The Sylvia is ready to board and we must not delay." Those piercing eyes settled on the hair. His bashful look quickly changed to an unsettled one under his intense gaze. Without a word, Tabby pushed back from the table with a loud wooden squeak of chair legs on wood and started moving toward the door. Gale blinked, mouth open as though to call after her, but seemingly decided against it, simply watching her retreating back. Didn't even finish her coffee. I summoned the barista over to settle the bill. He quickly approached, hands clasped before him with a wide, friendly smile. "Everything okay? Enjoying your coffees?" Yeah, thanks." Stefan recovered from being stunned by Sheriff's entrance and we all started to dig into our pockets for cash. "Here you go." With casual ease, Sheriff slid a few notes from his coat pocket and handed them to the barista. "Keep the change." We all gave him a mix of grateful and surprised looks, but he did not meet our eyes, simply turned and strode toward the door where Tabby was waiting, still glued to her phone. Thanks." Sheriff did not react, opening the door back out into the perishing cold. Tabby followed after, not even glancing back. "He's, pretty intense. He's pretty stuck up. He's pretty presumptuous. He's, pretty..." As we gathered up our stuff, I felt a twinge in my left eye. I froze for a moment. Whoa. Please not now. That was the more likely outcome. The other was much less pleasant. Gah! My left eye clamped shut in a response to the pain. What's wrong? Gale sounded concerned, but I glanced around desperately for a restroom, spotting the signs for the toilets. I gave them a "be right back" and quickly walked away. I could sense their confusion and alarm, but I didn't care right now. Tears were already starting to stream from my eyes with the pain. Once I was in the bathroom, I fished in my jacket pocket for the bottles I kept on me at all times. Diclofenac and proximeticaine eye drops. God damn, man. Fucking pharmaceutical legal government names up in this shit. In this instant, the diclofenac wouldn't be strong or fast acting enough. My practiced hand identified the correct bottle from touch alone, and I pulled out the that. Like I'd done a million times before, I unscrewed the top and set it on the rim of the sink, quickly washing my hands. The pain was unimaginable, like an eye full of sand mixed with a red-hot knife through my eyeball. My hands were trembling now, my face aching from the instinctive scrunching of my face to shut my eye and my muzzle wet from the tears. My eyes were in full-blown damage control, flooding themselves to flush out the irritants it believed was there. Taking the bottle, I tilted my head back, used my other hand to force my left eye open, with great difficulty, and quickly squeezed. One drop. Instantly, a cooling, soothing wave of relief banished the worst of the agony. A second drop. The sandy feeling dissipated. Straight away, my face relaxed as my muscles were no longer instinctively trying to keep my eyelids shut. As I hunched over the sink, My breath escaped in one long, heavy sigh. Keeping my eye closed, I allowed the medicine to do its work. I screwed the lid back onto the bottle and slipped it back in my pocket. Leaning over the sink, a mix of tears and the drops leaked from my closed eye, running down my nose. Fuck, my face really hurt. That was a really bad one. Normally these attacks tend to come on more gradually, giving me time to get the diclo drops in before it becomes excruciating, but every so often I get ones like this. I call them thunderclaps, like the headache. The ones my brother used to have. My GP had made it clear to me the proxy was for emergencies only, that overuse could further damage my eye. But with these thunderclaps, I could be useless for half an hour in unrelenting agony while waiting for the declo to kick in. Besides, I was completely blind in my left eye. How much more damage could I do? With the pain gone for now, I straightened up, gazing at my reflection. I regarded my ruined left eye. The milky white cataract was a constant reminder to others of my disfigurement, as if the scar wasn't enough. Garrett, you okay in there? There was a gentle tap at the door. He sounded pretty concerned. Remembering the way I dashed off, I must have looked the proper sight. Yeah, sorry. I quickly wiped my face and fixed my facial fluff. The door creaked open and I saw his worried eyes peeking around the side. You sure? What happened? Seeing I was okay mostly, he opened the door and stepped inside. Stefan followed closely behind after looking worried. My eye. I gave a hollow laugh in an attempt to lighten the situation. I get these painful attacks. That was a pretty bad one, even by my standards. I'm okay now though. I patted my pocket. I have lots of eye drops to keep me going. Aaron and Stefan exchanged looks before smiling and nodding. As long as you're sure, dude. Stefan brightened, though he still had a sympathetic look. I cringed as both of them were now staring directly at my damaged eye. I tried to laugh it off, turning my head to conceal it as a casual way as I could, tugging my fringe to cover it once again. Seriously, I'm okay. Didn't mean to scare you guys. The pair gave me a searching look, but they finally seemed to relax. Okay, if you're sure. Aaron placed a hand on my shoulder. If you're up for it, we should get going then. He and Stefan both stood aside to let me pass, only to face an anxious-looking Gale. Oh, Garrett, are you all right? Really, I'm okay. I insisted, giving her what I hoped was a reassuring smile. I noticed she was holding my backpack and gloves. Honestly, it happens, just something I live with. I didn't mean to scare you. Jesus Christ, man, this music. I assured her, gratefully accepting my belongings from her. She gave me a smile and waited for me to put my gloves back on before handing me my pack. I thought you were going to throw up or something. Once my pack was back on, we made our way to the door. Sheriff and Tabby were both waiting and looking pretty pissed. What took so long? Tabby looked like she was about to launch into a diatribe, but Gale cut her off. Enough, Tabby. For the first time I saw Gale flash a genuine angry look. Tabby opened her mouth to speak, but surprisingly, Gale's glare was enough to make her shut up. If we are all ready. Sheriff didn't even try to hide the irritation in his voice. With a flourish of his arm, we all started tromping through the snow in the direction of the Longyearbyen harbor. For a while, we marched in awkward silence, the embers of camaraderie we'd kindled during our coffees mostly snuffed out. I normally didn't mind walking in silence around others, but given the awkward tension in the air right now, I'd give anything to be somewhere else. I prayed to God the voyage wouldn't be like this. With my nerves very much jangled, My hand automatically reached for my smokes. I yanked the cig from my pack with my teeth and reached into my other pocket for my lighter. As I flicked it and drew, I noticed Stefan was watching me intently. I clicked my lighter shut and patted my pocket holding my smokes. Want one? Oh no, thank you. I was just looking at your lighter. I raised one eyebrow. Oh, what about it? Is it an Ellison? My smoke drooped in my mouth, very nearly slipping out as I gave him a dumbfounded look. You know your stuff, I admitted, utterly amazed. He gave me a cheeky grin, pleased by my astounded reaction. I collected them when I was younger. Never had that one, but I recognize it from an old catalog. His smug grin was replaced by a more longing look. Could I see it? Just for a sec? I noticed we'd fallen on a good few feet behind the others. I guess it was good that Sheriff and Tabby didn't bitch at us for holding them back. Besides, I was more at ease talking to one person than 5. I hesitated for a moment with the lighter, then I slowly placed it in his outstretched hand. He gave me a grateful smile, then pulled off both of his gloves and tucked them under his arm so he could inspect it more easily. He turned it over in his hand, running a single finger down the very faded embossed design on its face before flicking it open. Oh, may I? He gave me a look that was more of a pleading one than of curiosity. I nodded, kind of taken aback by his fascination. Oh, nice sound effect. We got a little immersion going on. At the Lil Wayne lighter flick? Okay. When it sparked into life, first time naturally. He gazed into the flame with a look of awe. He actually stopped in his tracks for a moment, transfixed. I stopped too, watching him with a growing sense of bewilderment. I tentatively reached out and snapped the lid shut, snuffing the flame before pulling it from his hand. He blinked, seemingly snapping out of a trance. Sorry, it's just such a pretty lighter. Well preserved and maintained too. Thanks. It belonged to my grandpa. He got it during the Second World War. Damn, it's in great condition all things considered. Bet your Gramps had stories to tell. My tail, very much not by my will, began to sway as my mood brightened. It was kind of annoying that us canids and lupines had such obvious tales of our moods. Other people found it cute and endearing, even though we often couldn't help it. Well, I don't remember too much about his stories. He never really spoke much about the war except for complaining about how his squad kept stealing his smokes. He died when I was pretty young. Actually, this belonged to my brother before I got it. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Still, it's awesome you got such a memento. It's a little piece of history, you know? My tail swayed more vigorously and I grinned. Oddball he may be, but I liked him. Either Gail and Aaron had slowed to interrupt us, or we'd been walking faster than I thought. The pair clustered with us, Gail and Aaron a few steps ahead, while Stefan and I walked side by side. I was meaning to ask. Gail gave me a concerned look. Do you get those painful episodes with your eye often? I swallowed and felt a pang in my chest, again with my eye. I took another draw from my smoke, giving myself a moment to consider. Not that often, no. Usually it isn't that bad and I use my eye drops anyway, which typically stops it. I took another long draw before adding. Cold weather makes it worse, so I brought a shitload of eye drops with me. Oh, I'm glad. It didn't look like a fun time, she said with a sympathetic understatement. Must have been quite the accident to do that to your face. Perhaps it was the presumptuous way he phrased it, or my growing impatience with the subject. Whatever it was, my limbs tightened and my fur bristled. My slowly swaying tail paused and raised, curling upwards. Before I could stop myself, my lip quivered, exposing a single fang, while my chest vibrated with a soft growl. Aaron's tone was sympathetic, but I didn't care. I was shutting this shit down right now. A sharp, acrid scent of burnt lemons hit my nostrils, the scent of fear and alarm. Judging by the two new similar but distinct scents, Gail and Stefan were also clearly alarmed by my reaction. I mean, what I meant was it must have really hurt. Stefan and Gail gave him withering looks. The tip of my smoke glowed brightly as I inhaled deeply, closing my eyes and settling myself. As I calmed down, my prickling fur settled and I hit my fangs. As the anger subsided, guilt and shame took its place. My reaction was instinctual, yes, but over the top, and I really didn't want to add to the awkwardness that had already marred our first impressions. Don't worry about it, I get that a lot. They each gave me relieved looks. Still, I wanted more than anything to change the subject. Gail, did Tabby mention you were looking for your mom? I very much wanted to get off the topic. Maybe digging at someone else's wound would suffice. Oh, yes, our mom, Emma Waters. She's the ship's doctor. Main reason I decided to go into nursing, actually. Cool. Did she ever mention Alex at all? Alexander Golubev? His face shone with excitement. Oh yeah, the cook, isn't he? She told me stories about him. Quite a character. That's my bro. Stefan beamed widely. I learned how to cook from him. Can't wait to introduce you. His goulash is to die for. It took me a second to catch the last part. Introduce. Wait, you think they're alive? Aaron spoke my thoughts aloud. Of course. Just wait till you meet Alex. He's just the best storyteller. And a cook. Oh man. One time he made the best honey roasted. Aaron had a clear look of confusion, and when he met my eyes, we both raised a brow. Gail, on the other hand, listened intently, smiling and nodding along like he wasn't mad. Both of them knew Aaron had been missing for 2 years, right? Oh, the IRV Aaron, or the IRV Aaron, I don't know. An enormous Arctic research vessel tasked with studying Greenland glaciers. The ship that vanished without a trace 2 years ago. The ship my older brother served aboard. Sheriff's letter came out of the blue, a few months after the search was called off. I remember my mom screaming, the first display of emotion she'd had in months. I sprinted down the stairs, alarmed to find her clutching the letter with tears in her eyes, yet an excited grin. Initially, I was skeptical. We'd received so many letters since the disappearance, well-wishers mostly, but a shocking amount of hucksters offering psychic help or private search opportunities. But this one was different. Sheriff actually had a loved one on board, and we recognized him from news reports and interviews. But Sheriff had failed to persuade international search efforts to resume. Instead, he would be privately funding a voyage. He couldn't afford to fund it entirely, so he needed help. And so, he made the offer that any family member who wanted to contribute to funding the search could participate if they chose. Mom, obviously, leapt at the chance. Despite my misgivings and protests, she took out a substantial loan on top of the cost to get me here. One she'd be repaying for years to come. So what about you guys? Who are you bringing home? His voice shook me out of my thoughts. Bringing home probably had very different connotations to them compared to me. And likely Aaron too, judging by his expression. My brother Connor, he was a mechanic. Oh, funny you should say that. Tabby is studying mechanics. Gail raised her voice a little, loud enough for Tabby to hear a good few paces ahead of us. Unsurprisingly, we didn't respond, leading Gail to give the back of her head a frustrated look. What about you, Aaron? My, sister Carrie. She was the navigator. He mumbled, barely audible. His confusion was replaced with an extremely uncomfortable look. Oh, of course, Carrie Marsh. You look a lot like her, you know. Gail gave him a cheery smile, but I could see he was uncomfortable. Now it made sense why I recognized him when I first saw him. Images of Aaron's crew members had been a fixture of news reports for months. So many personal stories of people whose lives had been cut tragically short, accompanied by grainy photos showing them with friends, family, lovers. Grim memorials played as an ongoing drama for a public that rapidly lost interest as the months without news dragged on and on. I remembered the photo of the pretty young Lapine navigator. The resemblance was uncanny. Oh, you don't say. Yeah, she's very pretty. I can't wait to meet her. I'll bet she has a tale to tell. I felt my stomach clenched, and this time I avoided looking at Aaron. There was no mockery in her tone. She was serious. She thought they were still alive. When I felt the vibration in my pocket, I was grateful for a chance to momentarily tune out the conversation. I pulled my phone out, seeing I had a new message. Hi, pet. You arrive okay? Pet? What? It was Mom. Yo, why's your mom calling you pet? My history had 7 messages from her, all stuff I'd missed, owing to the somewhat unreliable signal out here. All some variation of have you arrived yet or you on the plane? I typed back, I'm okay in Svalbard. Talk to you later, about to board the ship, before slipping my phone back into my pocket. I'd need to remember to send her a message before we departed. While the Sylvia had satellite internet and phones we could use to contact the mainland, we'd been warned about its unreliability. I didn't want to lose contact and have her worry. As I tuned back into the conversation, I realized we'd arrived at the harbor. Finally, damn. Before us was the MV Sylvia. I knew it was chartered for just 8 of us, but for some reason I expected it to be bigger. It didn't look much from here. A top deck and a main deck and presumably a lower deck. It looked more like a tourist ship than a search and rescue vessel. Still, I'd come this far, in for a penny. Waiting for us at the boarding ramp was a shark girl chatting idly with 2 others. Oh my god, 3 new characters, shit.